Hey everybody, Jacqueline here. As you can see, I am outside in this beautiful winter wonderland. We got our first real winter storm, so my husband and I decided to go out on a nice little winter walk today. And I am feeling just so inspired by all of this snowfall on the trees that I thought we could go back to the studio after this, and I'm going to show you you can't see me say five, but 5 easy watercolor, more holiday inspired paintings for you to do. So come along with me as we go on this walk and back to the studio. Hello everyone, we are back in the studio now that we have warmed up from the very chilly winter wonderland walk, and I wanted to be inspired by the outdoors with the greenery and the snow and just the overall magic feeling that the holidays always bring for me, and I hope that they bring for you. So I've laid out my paints. I'm going to use my Daniel Smith watercolors. I have 2 paint brushes that I think will work perfectly. So I'm using the 8 round and the 4 round of these Princeton brushes. To add snow, I'm going to just use my little Jelly Roll gel pen here, but you can also use acrylic paints or acrylic gouache paints or something. Since I don't have any white watercolor, that's why I'm going to add this for the magical snow. I also have 2 jars of water. This is just a thrifted mason jar. And then this is my little shot glass that I bring with me in my plein air setup. This is just my little cheat sheet to be able to see all the colors I have in my palette. These are the colors I have. And I'm going to give you can screenshot this if you'd like. I messed up down here, so that's why they're swapped. If you want to screenshot this, and then you'll be able to see what I'm doing on the palette right here. And I am using 2 different watercolor pads just because it's the paper I have. I have this fluid cold press finish that is the 140 pound 300 GSM, and this is the same weight, being the 300 GSM, and it's also watercolor paper, and this is something that I got when we were over in Sweden. So I'm going to play around with that paper, and this one, I think I only have just 3 sheets left. So that's why I'm just going to bounce between the 2, because for some of these paintings I need layers to dry before I can add on more layers. So I figure just bouncing between the 2, that would work really well. Today I'm going to show you 5 easy watercolor paintings that are going to be holiday inspired with the festivities coming up. And these are going to be great if you need one. You could have a cute painting to hang up on your mantle, or you can make a little ornament, cut it out and put it in a picture frame, hang it up on your tree if you want to. These are also fantastic to make holiday cards that you can send out to friends and family, or whatever your heart desires. But I just wanted to show you 5 easy watercolor paintings that you can do today as well. So let's get started. So the 5 themes I thought that we could do are branches with pine cones on it based off of the winter wonderland walk I did today, a cup of hot chocolate because I had a cup of hot chocolate once we got back in the car because I was very cold, a cabin in the woods because that seems so cozy, a Christmas tree or just a plain tree if you don't want to make it Christmassy with the holiday lights and different things, and then a beautiful little wreath that you could paint that you might also get inspired by the one hanging on your door. So those are going to be the 5 themes that we are going to paint. So I'm going to start with a really simple one, which is the tree branch with the pine cones on it. So I'm going to grab some of these browns, tinge of the gray, the Payne's gray, to make it a little darker and a little more cool toned. We are going to start with just drawing the very thin branch. Boom, you have a tiny twig of a branch. Good for you. And I'm also going to kind of make one come off a little bit on that side, and I think that that's pretty good. So to make a more nature-inspired green, adding the blues and the yellows will make really good greens, but then I also like to add a little bit of brown to it to make it a little bit more earthy. So you could add like a little bit of this brown, and it'll just help tone down and make the green look a little bit more natural than like a bright green like I have over here happening, or a more blue tone green. But I wanted to have a more brownish green to begin. So I kind of semi-load up my brush. Maybe you can dab it off a little if you want to. And we are going to be doing these flicking motions. So with the pine needles, I'm going to go towards the tip of each of these little twigs that we have done. So with pine cones, they are roughly a triangle shape. More round on the bottom, a little bit round on top, but roughly a triangle shape. And then all of their little pokey parts that come out, I don't know the anatomy of a pine cone, are a little bit more on a slant and like a curve, like a tiny little smiley face. So I'm going to take my brush and do a little bit more on the side to show you, kind of like this. So now we're going to set aside this pine cone to let it dry, and we'll come back and add the snow, and then if you're feeling up for it, you can add more detail to it. So we're just going to swap these two. So for this one, I'm going to turn it this way because I want to do a cute little Christmas tree. I have 2 water cups. This is the one I dip into first to get the paint off, and then this one's going to be cleaner, so I can just do a little dip to get any tiny extra bit off. So this is my dirtier water and this is my less dirty water, in case you were wondering why I had two cups of water. We are going to mix up a couple shades of green. So first I'm going to, with this lighter color, kind of load that up. I'm going to make the outline of this little tree that I'm going to make. So we're going to start at the top, and again, kind of like a pine cone, it's more of a triangle shape, and I'm going to add a little bit of scalloped edges to the bottom just to stylize it a little bit more. I'm really going to load it up because now I want this top one to be a light color, and then filling it in. And then we're going to mix these two to be the middle one. Perfect. And I want to add down here with the brown, and we're going to paint the tree trunk, which is I kind of have these nice scalloped edges. I'm going to kind of keep it a more rounded trunk on the bottom. So now we're going to set this one aside and go back over here. I'm just going to add a few more. And then we're going to let that dry, so we have that. And I think I might take this one off of here. So you can use anything flat. This is just a letter opener. You could use a palette knife. You could use anything that's flat. You could even use your finger if you really wanted to. I'm just afraid of getting paper cuts, so I like to use my letter opener. And I just do that. Then you can probably fold that a bit. Just a nice, easy way to get that off. For the third one, since we're already doing a lot of greens, I'm gonna do the wreath next. So I'm gonna start with this nice light green again, just a little bit, so we can draw our circle. You can get something if you want, like, let's see, like a candle if you wanted to get the circle that you want, you could do that. You can freeform it if you want to. Feel free to use whatever you want. You could also, if you have one of these, you could also sit there and get your circle as well. So I'm gonna, I think, use this just to kind of get it more in the center. I'm just gonna do a very quick little line. Voila. And I am just going to keep all, like, pretend that it's one of these branches where all the needles are going one way. So I'm going to do the same thing of keeping them all in one direction. So if you need to like turn your piece as you're painting it, you can do that. Kind of keeping the bottom or the outside ones pointing out, the inside ones pointing in. This is just the first layer. We are going to layer it up as we go. You can also, with your round brush, is press, and then as you're going out, lift up, so it gives like that little flick of the point. So you can do that. And then, because there's shadows and whatnot, I want a little bit cooler of a green. So I'm going to mix up some of these cooler yellows with the cooler blues. So now you've been building up all of your colors. So we're going to let this dry and pop back over to the tree. So I want to add a second layer to these trees. So we're gonna let that dry. Then we'll pop back over to this one. So I'm going to use my gel pen and I'm going to add in the white snow that is going to go in the pine cone and within the pine needles. And that's also where like this part back here got a little too muddied and too thick. I can put a little bit of lines in there to kind of help define it. But I'm gonna start out here, try to go just for the tips. And then we're going to go into the pine cone, and how I had you make them into little tiny smiley face like curves. That's kind of where all the snow, you know, when it's going like this, will sit on top of it. So I'm going to start by dabbing. I'll get a little closer for you and show you. I'm just going to dab right on that top edge, blending them together a little bit so it kind of becomes like a little snow pile. So I'm going to do that to the whole pine cone. And there it is, added to the pine cone and the needles and a little bit on the branch there. So I want to add in, I think, a little bow up here And then I'm going to add in maybe like red little holly berries or something. I think that might be really cute. Now for the bow, yeah, it's more dry. I think I want to do this more muted mauve-y pink color. So I'm going to take some of my pink, I'll remix it, add that in here. I'm going to add a little bit of those reds. And then to tone it down a smidgen, I'm going to add this buff titanium. Dip into the mauve pink we created, and we're going to create a bow. So I'm going to keep it simple, of the bows that I remember painting as a little girl. And there's the beginning of the bow. So I'm going to let the bow dry before we come back. I think we'll pop over to the tree. So for the tree, I thought we could make a star. We could put in some red dots for like ornaments, and then we'll come back in with a little bit of snow and a little bit of magical twinkliness. So we're going to set aside this and go back to the wreath. So I'm going to do, I think, a little cabin with some trees on the side. I think that would be really sweet. We're just going to keep it simple with triangle for the top, sides, like that, rooftop. So it is super simple. And we're going to fill in the front side with one color. Perfect, so there's just the base of that. I'm gonna go back, pop back over here. I'm gonna add some white to this, just like I did on the tree. For this one, I wanted to do a little cup of like coffee or hot chocolate or something. I'm going to do a cup of hot cocoa. So I think I want to stick kind of this nice beigey color to create my mug. Now, mugs come in a variety of sizes. I'm going to do a nice chunky mug. I think that would be really, really good for this. Go back over here. These are looking quite cute. Yay. Okay, so I want to add some windows to this. So I'm going to add in a front door. Go back to the mug. And I thought in here we could do little Christmas trees, like it's almost like wrapped around with some Christmas trees. We're just gonna do very simple little trees. And then we're gonna add some trees to the cabin as well. We're gonna let that dry and then we'll come back in on the bottom there. We're gonna add some trees to the side of this cabin. First I'm gonna do the outline of like the smoke coming out. We're just gonna do kind of this blobby thing. So it's very subtle, but you can see that the white of the page is making the smokestack. Pop back to this one. We're almost finished. Take a little bit of this darker brown, mix those two, kind of bring back the bottom of this cup because I kind of got rid of it a smidge. Beautiful. And now I want to add some snow to this. Like this part's still wet, so I won't put it in there. But I'm going to add snow to the roof, the top of the like ledges, and into the trees. So there you have it. These are the 5 that I've created. We have this nice pine cone. We have this fun little festive tree, a festive little wreath, a nice little cabin with snow. Ooh, and the hot cocoa that I forgot to also make the little bits. So let me do that real quick. And you could also, for this, you could have done like a little smoky bits coming out, but I just made a little twirliness. So with these, now you have 5 holiday cards you can send out. You can frame them, you can put them up on your like mantle or something, but you can also feel free, if these are going to be cards for somebody, is you could write happy holidays, warm wishes, you can write different things. You could do it with calligraphy, you could write it with a pen, and then you could write your holiday greetings on the back. But these for now are, I'm going to let them all dry, and I now have some good little cards to give out to friends and family for the holidays. So I hope you enjoyed this. I think this was really fun to do. You could do all 5, you could do one of them. You could even do itty bitty mini versions of these, like all in one card. I think that would be really special. If you want to, you can DM me on Instagram or something and show me your pictures you've made. Just snap a photo with your phone and let me see them, and I think that would be really sweet. And I can't wait to see what you all create with this. And I'm going to go make myself some more hot chocolate and show my husband these, because I think he'll find them really sweet too.
You might be thinking, Jacqueline, what are you doing in a winter wonderland?
in 14 degrees painting. I understand, that is kind of crazy, but I was thinking I was going to make a video here pretty soon about all the tips I have of painting when you're outdoors in the freezing cold, because you just want to be surrounded by inspiration of such a beautiful time, because you shouldn't just paint when it's warm outside. You should also go outside. So I'm going to be making a video with tips of how to stay warm. Oh, I'm going downhill now. Of how to stay warm, how to paint quickly. So stay tuned for that. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to see that video in the future. But I will see you all in the next one. Cheers.